It has been 2 fantastic days of racing, absolutely packed at Magny-Cours. The Clio Cup Series for the Spanish, the French and the Eastern European Championships will have a packed grid of cars to bring the Sunday proceedings to an end. There had been talk of a storm coming in. The race is at 25 minutes plus an extra bonus lap, and 15 to 20 minutes from now there is talk of the rain hitting. The wind has dropped, but the clouds are gathering over the circuit. Track temperature still high, air temperature still much higher than I'd realised, nearly 30 degrees. Humidity though is dropping, but there could be a sting in the tail of this race. Front row of the grid, we have got the regular front runners, David Pouget and Nicolas Milan on the front row again. One to really look for is the all-yellow car of Joran Lenoitra, number 77, who's getting up with the big guns. Marc Guillot, fourth on the grid, another of the regular front runners. It's great to have a shuffling of the pack, and for a French racer on home ground, Joran Lenoitra could be looking to the biggest result of his career. 104 will start from fifth on the grid. That's another Frenchman. That's Leo Jousset alongside Alexandre Albuy. But a fantastic grid of cars. We had 37 cars, I think it was, starting yesterday. And just to reiterate, it's going to be 25 minutes this race, and then one further lap before the checkered flag will be brought out. And these Renault Clios could not be better suited for the circuit at Magny-Cours. Some of the bigger cars struggled to get the overtaking done, but these are quite happy 2 or 3 abreast through corners, and plenty of opportunities for them to get stuck in. One of the cars from Carpec Racing, that's Juuso Pantilla, showing the spread of nationalities. He's a Finnish racer among a lot of French, Spanish, Italian racers in the mix of championships. Just to reiterate, this is not a round of the Clio Euro Cup for 2022. It's a round of the Clio Cup France, the Clio Cup Spain, and the new for 22 Clio Cup Eastern European Series. We also have divisions through the championships in that you have the overall class, you have the class for the challengers, and then the class for the gentlemen drivers. So normally 13th on the grid would have you some way down towards the middle order, but 13th is pretty much just bringing the first third to a conclusion. Car number 1, gosh, it's getting darker by the moment. Nicolas Milan really had a good scrap, but every race in the Clio Cup is a scrap. Drivers fighting for position, fiercely fought every single corner. Yes, you can feel the change in the air. The wind weirdly has dropped. The flags in the grandstand opposite the pits almost hanging limp. They were blowing hard, but there had been talk of winds of, get this, 80 kilometers an hour coming our way. We may just dodge that final bullet. After 2 days, well, 3 days of competition here, practice and qualifying on the Friday, racing on the Saturday, all the way through until about 11:15 late last night. And then we're going to bring this to a conclusion, hopefully at 6 o'clock this evening. Thomas Pekka races all around Europe for his own team, Pekka Carpec Services. They're all thinking about that first corner, the very fast left-hander, Grande Courbe, that then feeds down into that long right-hander, Estoril. So there's Joran Lenoitra. Pole is on the grandstand side, not the pit wall side. So it's David Pouget and 15 on pole. Number 1, Nicolas Milan, this side of the image with the green, red and white livery. Then on the second round, Joran Lenoitra, white and blue car, sorry, the yellow car, of course, is Marc Guillot. Look out for that, it stands out. And particularly as the light goes from what had been bright when they left the paddock to now increasingly dark as the clouds are arriving. They are encroaching. Will we get away before the rain comes down? The race yesterday went, after many a scrap, to Nicolas Pouget. He's on pole this afternoon. And let's see what he can do. The race from Albi in southern France. And the rain, from which direction will it come? I've just heard talk it's going to come from around Imola. Not Imola, from Moulins, not Imola. In fact, so that means it's to the south of the circuit. So the first place it should hit would be, well, pretty much the exit of Estoril. That wouldn't make it tricky at all, would it? But and then therefore the Adelaide hairpin at the top of the hill. But anyhow, plenty to entertain us. 3 championship of cars, all combined. 3 classes of cars in each of those championships. But let's do the numbers. About 35, 36 cars heading off. This is their formation lap. It's dry. How long will it stay dry? Will it stay dry the whole way through? We're about to find out. This is the formation lap. 25 minutes of racing, and then, and only then, will you throw in the bonus lap at the end. And it's going to be hard fought. A few windscreen wipers, a couple of drivers near the front. Maybe they're just getting grease off their screen, but maybe they're just checking where the switch is. But it's David Pouget and Nicolas Millan the front row, Joren Lenoitre and Marc Guillot on row number 2. Then Leo Jousset, Alexandre Alboy on row 3. All in with a tilted victory. Jerzy Spinkovic and Alexander Royo, Alex Royo, Spanish racer. Then loads of Spaniards, Nicolas Abella, Alex Laho for Cort Auto Motorsport, 9th and 10th on the grid. Andreas Stucki, Thomas Pekar, 11th and 12th. Moving on down through the groves, Alex René and Jordi Palomeros. And he was in a bit in the wars yesterday. Yusuf Pantillo, we saw him in the bright orange number 50 on the grid, and alongside Bazire for the Vic team. So many teams tilting here. Another Vic team entry, car number 632, Rigolet, and then Lionel Viguetti 2CM. The only driver racing without a full name, it's Horn. That's his racing pseudonym for GPA Racing, French racer on home ground. And still they come. René Steenmitz always running in the gentleman drivers class. He's 6th in that alongside Monmanet, who's also racing in that class as well. Pierre Monmanet for GPA Racing. So just to reiterate, you have the top class, you have the challenger class, and the gentleman driver class. And they're also split between the 3 Clio Cup series competing here. Of course, the French series. The Spanish series, not too far for them to come over the border, but for the Eastern European challengers, a little bit further. Even down as we get towards the 10th row, towards the 15th row of this grid. Names frequently feature in among the points, and really a 10th of second different here or there on the grid. It's many positions on the grid you would lose. It's super tight. So the field on this formation lap, out of the Imola chicane, going over the crest of the hill here at Chateau d'Eau, under the bridge, access bridge, and then sweeping down towards the final couple of corners. Virage du Lycée, very tight right-hander, and then the right-left flick, very tight chicane onto the start-finish straight. So here we have it at the back of the grid. 37 starters has been confirmed. In fact, that was the number we had yesterday as well. So everybody who played yesterday is playing again today. And just remember the front row of the grid. It's David Pouget, car number 15, and alongside Nicolas Millan. They always seem to be tilting at the top, and in fact in the European Championship, this is not a round of Clio Cup Europe. It's Nicolas Millan after 2 races at Jarama, 2 at Imola, leading the way from Marc Guillot, and in fact Jerzy Spinkovic, the pole, is 3rd placed in that. And David Pouget on pole today, only 5th, but we're not counting towards European Championship points. It's towards the points for Clio Cup France, Clio Cup Spain, and Clio Cup Eastern Europe. White with the yellow flashes, that's the pole starter, David Pouget. Alongside white, mainly green, and red flashes on his car, Nicolas Millan. 2 French drivers. And of course, for David Pouget coming from Albi, great little city in the south of France with a fabulous little circuit. But right now he's on the wide open expanses of Magny-Cours. Will they be wide open enough for everybody to fit first through Grand Corps and then through Estoril? On the law of averages, you feel it probably won't be. So many cars, they have to squeeze them through that final chicane to get all 19 rows or 18 and a half rows onto the start-finish straight. I think just about the last of the cars coming into position. There we have 37 cars squeezed onto the start-finish straight, getting ready for 25 minutes plus 1 extra lap before the checkered flag will fall to bring this fantastic late spring meeting at Magny-Cours to an end. The race is about to be on, and the race is also on for getting through before the rain comes down. It is approaching. It could have a role to play towards the end of this race. Long hole, just waiting for the green flag to be waved at the back to signal to the officials that all is clear, all is good on the grid. The lights will come on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that sequence, and then they will go out and they will turn to green, and the race will be underway. Or some of the drivers decide they're going to go a little bit before that. Won't be the first time. 4, 5 red lights were very quickly extinguished, and David Pouget making a fantastic start from pole position. Nicolas Millan, not too bad, may get his nose up the inside, but that will be the wrong position. In fact, his nose is in front, but of course the track goes first to the right and then to the left. So David Pouget has done what he needs to do. He's got onto the inside line into the entry to Estoril, the long right-hander up the hill. Oh, slotting in behind in the top 10, nose to tail. Further back, I'm sure we'll have 2x2. Surely someone will be in the gravel. 1, 2 cars in the gravel. Oh, is that going to be touching the tyre wall? Big, oh, just kissed it, but no damage done there, but dropped that runner right to the back of the field. And of course, slowed right down. So David Pouget now being challenged, now being passed up the inside by Nicolas Millan, almost being touched by Marc Guillot. So second became first became second, and unfortunately first is about to become third because Marc Guillot's got a better exit, the dust hanging in the air at the background of the exit of Estoril, but that was a classic case of using a slipstream up the hill to the Adelaide hairpin. David Pouget had done such a good job getting it into Estoril in front, but he got a little bit out-muscled, and unfortunately for him, the provisional gold position has fallen back to bronze, and someone's gone straight on at the Nürburgring chicane on the way downhill. That could actually lead to potential safety car. Will that be dragged out before the field comes around again? So that was a car just at the tail of the top 10, I would suggest, just bounced the curbs and probably had the car snap away from them. We saw that in some of the GT racing as well. But at the front, it's Nicolas Millin leading from Marc Guillot. It's green and white from yellow, and then the white and yellow car that started on pole position. David Pouget being pushed hard. Alexandre Alboy, I think it is in behind. If it's car number 25, that indeed will be him. One of the Challenger class runners. Safety car, you can see the field backing off, the message at the top of the screen. So that's for withdrawing and recovering the car that went off on the exit of the S at the Nürburgring Twisters on the way down the slope. Just clearly bounced and then snapped to the right and into the tyre wall. I think whoever went off at the exit of Estoril should have managed to just get going and rejoin, having kissed the tyre barriers on the exit, having bounced through the gravel. And it's 1-2-5, it's Jerzy Spinkovic. So yes, that would have been in the top 10. In fact, he finished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Started from 7th on the grid. I thought it was just outside the top 10, clearly just within, but may have been helped on his way. But for the pole, that is very disappointing indeed. Went very well placed Central European Series last year, was third in that, 8th in the French Series, but no points for him today. Yesterday afternoon, in fact, Jerzy came home in 7th place where he started today, so clearly well placed in the top 10, looking for a good haul of points, but won't be getting any this afternoon, turning into this evening here at Magny-Cours. Eyes all round, that's from Andreas Stucki's team, looking and watching on their phones, probably up in the grandstand. Well, that's good, so you can get a view over the circuit, and then when they go away you can see where they are out on the track. Now this is quite funny. If we keep on this, it's quite possible that's an internet stream and it may be a little behind what we're seeing. Oh look, I'm looking at me. Is that you? Yes it is. Anyhow, very, very well picked up by the camera crews and director there. So very entertaining. Right, safety car still at the front of the field, still waiting to see if the car that went off, the number 125 on the exit of turn 7, Jerzy Spinkovic's car, can get dragged clear. Looking to see if the car at the back of the field is white with the pink flashes. That was the car that was about halfway down the grid order and then went off at Estoril on the first lap. And I think it was maybe possibly car number 22, Lydia Sempere from Team VRT. Safety car in this lap, so yes, they have managed to recover Jerzy Spinkovic's car from the exit of the Nürburgring S on the downhill. They're now going down to 180 and then up the hill to the second S, which is the better of the two in my eyes. It's the Imola S, just before you turn into the entry to Chateau d'Eau. There is the exit of the Imola S, and Renault Clio's not averse to running straight on across that tarmac at the top of the screen, through the gravel, across the grass, and then rejoining at this corner here at Chateau d'Eau. Not recommended, but in the heat of battle, it has happened many a time. So, a refresher, Nicolas Millin started from second on the grid. He didn't get ahead of poleman David Pouget into the first corner or to Estoril, but he used the toe up the hill to the Adelaide hairpin, tucked it up the inside and took the lead. And then Marc Guillot had a better exit from third place from the Adelaide corner, and by the time they went down the hill, he too had moved ahead of poleman David Pouget. But it's French drivers first, second, third and fourth, with Alexandre Alboy being fourth in that group. And look how the car's come into the start-finish straight, trying to scrape all the paint off the chicane curbing that leads them past the pit lane. Nose to tail is the order, but it's Millin, Guillot. Ooh, Guillot's looking very busy in number 2. Second in the race, the bright yellow car right on the tail of Nicolas Millin, and maybe the pace that qualified pole position for the driver in third place will be enough. Windscreen wipers just going, I noticed on David Pouget's car. That's third, but it should get a double toe. But Guillot showing real intent. One leads two, or more to the point. Nicolas Millin at the front being pushed very hard. Pouget can't catch up in third place quite. But look, the first 4 cars with Alexandre Alboy almost nose to tail. And number 3, that is Alejandro Rojo for for Team VRT moves up ahead of that second gaggle of 3 cars. So it's the first 4 cars making their break. It's still Nicola Milan leading the race. Marc Guillot not so good as he ran down the hill. There they are through the Nürburgring sweepers. Is everybody going to get it right this time? 2 by 2 for about 6th place. I thought that could lead to blows and possibly another car off, where straight ahead, not so long ago, Jerzy Spinkovic took to the gravel and caused that safety car period. A little bit of pushing and shoving at 180. One of the Carpex Services car, the bright orange car, is getting pushed a little bit wide. Yeah, windscreen wipers definitely going on the driver in 3rd place. That is David Pouget. I thought I saw it as he ran up the hill out of Estoril using his wipers up in front. Maybe he's trying to convince the driver in front there is rain. If he looks, he'll see the wipers. But Marc Guillot locking up a little bit. Chateau d'Eau, crest of the hill, down they come. Nicola Milan just starting to make a break. Not easy to overtake down here. Through the left-hand sweeper and then down to Virage du Lycée. Very, very tight indeed. But there is often pushing and shoving. David Pouget still using his wipers. They all seem to have pretty good grip down there. On tiptoes, the first 7 cars coming through, 4 of them then chased by a pack of 3. Alejandro Roy, Nicolas Abella and Joran Lenoitre, who did start from 4th on the grid, 3rd on the grid, has got rather spat back in that early action, but let's see if the young French star can start to make his presence felt. White with the blue flashes. Ooh, overtaking manoeuvre, diving down the inside to Grand Corps, therefore a much better exit from the chicane onto the start-finish straight. Very hard to gain an advantage down there. But what it's very easy to do is to run wide, and unfortunately for number 3, running wide, just talked about him, Alejandro Roy rejoins. Is that because he ran wide because he just lost grip, or did he lose grip because there was potential rain? And others losing their grip before they even got to Estoril. They got there the long route, well, the short route across the grass. I think we've got rain on certain parts of the circuit, the start of the lap. Nicola Milan still holds on, change for 2nd position though, up at the crest of the hill, because David Pouget gets past Marc Guillot, use his slipstream up the hill. This potentially is the dry part of the circuit. There's definitely a little flurry, the start of the rain shower down the slope. How did he go from 3rd back to 2nd? But Marc Guillot better exit from the Adelaide hairpin. And if Estoril is a little bit greasy, maybe 180, the next corner they're going to get down to, will have less grip than last time around. Let's get the cameras down there and see. Will it still be Nicola Milan in front? Will it still be Marc Guillot in 2nd place? Well, looking for the battle to sort of the tail end of the top 10. It's very busy indeed. 4 pushing on. That's Bazier just outside the top 10. But what we know, it does seem there's no grip or decreased grip when they get to the first corner, to Grand Corps. The corner beyond, Estoril, 2 corners that can trip you up in the dry. The wind is coming in really, really strongly now. The flags opposite the start-finish straight almost being blown off their flagpole. So it's changing, and it's changing fast. They've got to get through another 16.5 minutes, hopefully before heavy, heavy rain. And then a further lap beyond, and it's actually brighter on screen than it will be outside because the cameras seem to produce light. But race leader is still Nicola Milan, just easing clear, enjoying the fact that behind him Marc Guillot is battling so hard with David Pouget and Alexandre Albouy trying to get in the battle. Alejandro Roy, of course, was the one who ran through the gravel. He'll fall down the order, so Joran Lenoitre is now back up into 5th place. I think Lenoitre may be able to catch up with that first 4. Let's see, just a few spots of drizzle on some of the camera lenses as well, so it's blurring. This is right at the very end of the lap. It's the bottom end of the slope, if you will, around the pits and the first corner, where definitely those windscreen wipers are being deployed by the likes of David Pouget. Others deciding, stay off as long as I can. I don't want to make the screen greasy. And certainly the race leader, Nicola Milan, doing precisely that. David Pouget again up towards the crest of the hill, looking up the inside, not being shown the inside, closed down by Marc Guillot. So the yellow car stays in 2nd place. Alexandre Albouy hangs on the back, but yet Joran Lenoitre is getting closer and closer. Still busy though behind them, just down in the second half of the top 20. Out front though, up on 3 wheels. Fantastic angle there to see these Clios being pushed so hard by the very best Clio racers around. And Nicola Milan, as I said, leading the Clio Cup Europe. This isn't a round of that, but he's gathering points as he goes for the French series. Nice and neat and tidy. 4-car bunch has become 5-car bunch, and just looking to see who's in 6th place. It's Nicolas Abella who's looking for points in the Spanish Championship. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, tiny bit of a gap back to Abella. He may be able to catch up. More dots on the camera lens. Certain points it looks a little brighter. Yet that first 5 making the break. Nicolas Abella in the background just losing ground. Now, Marc Guillot seems very, very good on the brakes. Seems to get his car turned in really nicely through the tighter corners. David Pouget started on pole, but up at the hairpin at the end, well, halfway around the opening lap, the positions changed around, and it stayed like that. This is the first time we've seen Nicolas Milan in the lead using his wipers. Pouget in third continues to use his. Those around, including Alexandre Albouy for GPA Racing. That's car number 25 in fourth place overall, deciding they would eschew the use of wipers as yet. There is an element, once you flick them the first time, you've got to keep using them thereafter. So maybe David Pouget lured into that. Right. Leading the Spanish charges in this race, and Nicolas Abella, car 93. I thought he was being dropped, but in fact, little by little, and as soon as these drivers start trying to pass each other, I think he may close in. First five, nose to tail, almost nose on tail. David Pouget literally pushing the bright yellow car of Marc Guillot around the Adelaide hairpin, and in turn Alexandre Albouy was about the width of a coat of paint off the rear tail, off the rear end, the tail of the David Pouget entry. Clio Cup Racing doing precisely what it says on the tin. Almost contact down at 180 because David Pouget trying to attack hard on what clearly is decreasing grip lap after lap. Just a little bit more of the light precipitation that is falling. It's making the track greasy. And of course, Nicolas Milan, the leader of the race, knows that every lap as he exits Estoril, he's providing a tow to the car behind. It's Marc Guillot who's using it at the moment, and Guillot's shown he can overtake into that hairpin at the top of the hill. Now, pretty much the odd driver out will be the one not using their wipers. Leonard Viguier leading the gentleman drivers in this race, so he's moved up the order. But it's that top group. It was 4 cars. It's now 5, 5.5, almost 6, because that means Nicolas Abella should be coming into background in the dark car. Yes, he's caught them. 6 cars, nose to tail for the top 6 positions. We're halfway through the race, and yellow and red slippery surface flag. I think the drivers have already got that message. Is it slippery for any other reason? I don't think so, but wow, what a great breakaway from the top 6. Nicolas Milan, Marc Guillot, David Pouget, Alexandre Albouy. There was one of the Carpec Services cars coming out of the pit, so they decided to stop and have a little bit of a pit stop for wet weather tyres. I think everyone else should be absolutely fine, albeit with decreasing grip for the remainder of this race. Not a lot of time on the clock. And that Carpec driver has come out of the pit lane and decided to keep out of the way. He's got his hazard lamps on and he stayed off the circuit to just keep out of the way. Obviously his race is run. Nicolas Milan still leads out up at the top of the hill. We've got to change for second place because up the inside, having got a good tow, goes David Pouget. Marc Guillot, well, back from second to third, and suddenly he's got not one but 2 drivers challenging from behind. He's got Alexandre Albouy in 25 and Joran Lenoitre in 77. Mind you, they might sort themselves out. Lenoitre goes up to 4th, so a couple of position changes in the space of 2 corners. Oh, there's so little grip down into 180. You almost feel it'd be like a game of pool, one ball bouncing off another and putting them all off into the cushions or the pockets. I'm just looking for further messages. Car 88 was one that fell a little bit earlier. That was Horn, went off into the gravel at Estoril and rejoined. Now, Marc Guillot's been caught out completely, outbraked himself. Joran Lenoitre said thank you very much at Chateau d'Eau, so the young French star moves up into 3rd place, and Alexandre Albouy stays in 4th, but is ahead of the car that was in front of him not so long ago, if you follow my drift. Don't forget, Marc Guillot in the yellow number 2 was running in 2nd place. He got passed half a lap ago by David Pouget, and has been passed twice since then. 2nd has become 5th in 1 lap. Disaster for Guillot. But also with that moment, it gave just a tiny bit of breathing space for Nicolas Milan, who's other people running out of road, running out of talent, running out of grip, whatever you want to call it, down at Chateau de Lycée. Yes, more drops on the lens. That's down at Estoril. A corner that drivers go off in the dry, come what may, trying to run wide and then suddenly finding the corner is tighter than it looks. They run to the exit. First 3 very neat, very tidy, slightly messier line. 4th in line, that was Alexandre Albouy. I'm now starting to sense the first 3 getting away. So it's Milan, Pouget, Lenoitre, little bit of a gap. Then Albouy, he's going to have an attack, no doubt, from Marc Guillot, who was 2nd not so long ago. In fact, at this point on the last lap, and he's now down to 5th. Just checking the flags on the grandstand opposite my commentary box. They're still blowing down the start-finish straight. And that pretty much means into their face as they run up the hill. But it's a case of getting maximum grip where the grip is decreasing all the time. Nicolas Millán, David Pouget, Joran Lenoitre all using their wipers, and a bit of a mistake from Alexandre Alboy. Did he lose a position? Yes, he did, down at 180. No, he didn't lose one position. Yes, he did. I thought it was going to be two, but certainly Marc Guillot got the jump, and Nicolas Abella very nearly did as well. But for Marc Guillot, was second, third, fourth, fifth. Now he's back to fourth in number 2. Look at the timing screen to see who's setting the fastest laps of the race. I think the best so far has been from Joran Lenoitre in third place overall. 1 minute 59 seconds. No wonder he's been able to catch up with those ahead, overtake those ahead. Seems confident in pretty slippery conditions. Not to the eye, but clearly you can see that there's a greasy layer on the top of the surface at this late stage in this 3-day packed race meeting at Magny-Cours. But look how Pouget's hunted down David Millán. Sorry, Nicolas Millán. David Pouget closing all the time by 1/3 of a second, by 2/10 of a second. All good stuff. Car 47 coming into view. That's Alex Lahaut, which he's the driver at the head of the second batch of cars. You've got the first 6, a gap of about, let's have a look, 5.5 seconds. And then that second batch of cars. They still hunt in packs. Clio's always hunting packs. Quick fire. The lead for Nicolas Millán over David Pouget, 0.375 of a second, and it's not anymore because the lead is about to swap again and again. He's been good up to the top of the hill, and David Pouget started on pole, gets his nose in front, but he had a unfortunately untidy exit. He's back into second place, and Joran Lenoitre on the run down to Nürburgring has a little think, but he's going to be on the outside. You don't want to be on the outside when you get to the S's. So that was a short-lived taking of the lead from the pole man, and David Pouget immediately relegated on the exit of the corner at the top of the hill by Nicolas Millán. Classic Renault Clio, scrapping. But great to have a new name there in Joran Lenoitre, pushing hard, the white car with the light blue and dark blue flashes. Up the slope they come. Next corner, the wonderful sweepers, the Imola sweepers. Marc Guillot trying to get back on track. Alexandre Alboy in 5th place, just trying to hang on the yellow Clio. Joran Lenoitre, well, let's have a move. A piece of that action, gets his nose in front of Chateau d'Eau, but fast in doesn't mean fast out. He's going to have to try again, but he's trying, which is what we want to see. As that happens, Nicolas Millán will be thinking, this is good stuff. Keep David Pouget busy, and I may get a chance to make a break. But look, we've still covered the top 3 cars by, well, that's a second, first to third. And Marc Guillot closing in again at Virage du Lycée through the final sweepers, the right, well, not sweepers, it's a chicane onto the start-finish straight, and it's still super close. Top 6 cars. I'll tell you what the gap is, 2.7 seconds from first through to 6th. Just outside the top 10, scrapping as hard, and in fact, body contact, 31 and 55. 55 was about to go into the pit lane, and that was René Steenmitz. 31 was Jeremy Border-Harre, Team Border Rally. Let's hope they'll calm down after that. There may yet be an investigation. Car 632, I can tell you, the driver of that, Rigolet, is for the Vic team under investigation for exceeding track limits. Now, a lot of them are doing that just simply because they haven't got the grip to get around the corners. But driver who seems to just have enough grip whenever he requires it is Nicolas Millán. He's leading this race. And then David Pouget. Now, well, there was push and shove. We saw the door banging, but there was how you could say, Jeremy Border-Harre had already hit the back of René Steenmitz, so no wonder René in the right car wasn't entirely happy. But there we are, we get a chance to see it again, chance for the race officials to examine the push, most notably there was a push, and the shove. Nicolas Millán, he's resisted a lot of pressure. He has been passed, but immediately took the lead back from David Pouget. Joran Lenoitre is possibly Nicolas Millán's friend because he is now putting all sorts of pressure on Pouget in 2nd place. 99 pushing very hard there down middle order. Guillaume Maillot, who runs in the Challenger class. Everybody gets a race here. There's always someone to go out and play with in the Magny-Cours. Dry surface or even slightly greasy surface, there are still options for overtaking, which is why these cars are so well suited. And now with 4 and a bit minutes remaining, plus that extra lap, don't forget, first 4, just slightly larger gaps. I mean, we're talking about, what, 0.2 of a second between each of them. So really by Renault Clio standards, that's quite a large gap. By other championships, that's a tiny, tiny gap. 1.2 seconds cover the top 4, so that does prove they've got those gaps in between them. But it's just under 0.4 of a second between the driver. Car number 1, windscreen wipers on intermittently. That's Nicolas Milan and David Pouget giving chase. Joran Lenoitre, he's made his moves. They haven't quite stuck, but bless him for trying, and I don't think he's finished yet. David Pouget cannot relax in that second place. So let us take a look. Oh, cutting corners there. David Pouget almost caught out by Nicolas Milan there, who cut a very tight inside line, and Pouget gets his nose in front, but again, he's often been slower on the exit of Adelaide, and they're side by side. Now this could be juicy, and suddenly we could have Joran Lenoitre in the lead, and I've just been sent to look at the weather map that's approaching. How fast will it approach? It looks like a monstrous storm is coming in, but look, we've got 3 minutes plus the remaining bonus lap at the end, and it's absolutely classic Clio Cup racing. And it's David Pouget in front by what? The length of his snub-nosed bonnet on his Clio, just enough ahead of Nicolas Milan, and Joran Lenoitre, a new name in the pack, new face in the pack, is really putting on a fabulous show in third place. They were spacing out. Now you're talking 1/10 of a second. And Chateau d'Eau, we've seen an attack from Lenoitre before. He had to back out a tiny little bit. Sorry, that was at Imola. Now Chateau d'Eau at the top of the hill. We've seen the attack there before. Lenoitre, the white and blue car, white car with the blue flashes. Oh, so close indeed. And Nicolas Milan being almost pushing David Pouget around at the top of the hill. Marc Guillot in the all-yellow car mounting his attack now in 4th place, and Alexandre Albouy may yet have something to say in this. He's 5th, but we're only talking 1 and a bit seconds between 1st and 5th. Who is going to break latest into Virage du Lycée? Pretty even there, but look, the clock is almost counted down to just 2 minutes. In the background, the shot, the dark blue and pink liveried car, Nicolas Abella trying to hang on, just can't get close enough to get their toe. Cars in front slightly tripping themselves up. He may yet get onto the back of this 6-car lead pack. It's 5 cars, small gap, and then Nicolas Abella. Now who's going to find the traction around Estoril? So difficult, particularly with that little greasy thing. I sense the weather's changed for the better. I think the little light rain that came through has moved away, but still the track a little bit greasy. Now what you need to do is get a toe, and Alexandre Albouy is doing precisely that up the hill onto Marc Guillot. There's that little kink as you run up the hill towards the Adelaide hairpin. David Pouget's got the inside line where he wants to be. The nose is in front from Nicolas Milan, but they have to turn sharply to the right, and that puts him on the outside line, and he's blocked on the exit. Perfectly legitimate. David Pouget lost the lead from pole there on the opening lap, has had to fight his way back. He got his nose in front, immediately pushed back, but now, this time, he's looking pretty good. And look, 1 minute plus an extra lap. He may yet squeeze 2 more laps in, which we will, because actually one would think, looking at the modelling. Now, what can Joran Lenoitre do in the car that's pushing so hard in, it's number 77, in 3rd place? He's shown he's keen to overtake. He made a move not long ago at a corner. We're approaching fast. We've got the Imola sweepers. He's not making a move here. Right and then left at speed, and how much traction. Now he's really hunting down Nicolas Milan. Nothing happening at Chateau d'Eau on the way in, but how about on the way out? David Pouget, classical line around the outside the corner. Nicolas Milan is probably counting the seconds down. We'll get onto this next lap and then 1 further lap, one would think. It's going to be very tight indeed, but for some of the drivers here, getting 2 extra laps would be a good thing, this lap and the next one, but for others, they want to bring it to an end. I'm still in a really good position, but again, still the drops of moisture on the lenses. First 5 still just clear of Nicolas Abella, and now traffic up ahead. Could this be something that is going to cause them problem? Because they've got this lap and 1 further lap. There we have the sign at the top of the screen. In the Clio Cup, you run 25 minutes and then 1 further lap beyond that. We just squeaked on to the penultimate lap. Oh, you don't want to be out over the curbing if you can help it. Any little bit of moisture makes it greasy there, but a lot of the cars just seem drawn there on the exit of Estoril. Up the slope they go. Will that back marker, car number 22, get round the final corner? Lydia Semperi, Team VRT. Oh no, she's looked in the mirrors and locked up. Oh, they don't want to be catching her down at the Nürburgring S on the way down the hill. That could be precisely, but they find her Oh, she's got 5 cars to let pass. If she can stay on the right-hand side of the track, keep out of the way, that would be very useful indeed. And behind, people know the end of the race is near. They're pushing hard. They're pushing each other at the Adelaide hairpin. Down at 180, is it still going to be David Pouget leading from Nicola Milan? There's the big question. Did they get interrupted by Lydia Semperi on the way down the slope? A few more drops. Oh, there's the Nürburgring sweepers and a few more drops of rain there. Windscreen wipers still blazing away. 47, that's Alex Lehoz. He's running in 7th place overall. He's worked his way to the head of that pack. And as they come back up the hill from 180, the order is as it was before. It's Pouget, Milan, Le Neutre. Then Marc Guillot, then Alexandra Albu, then a smallest of gaps. And then in 6th place, we're still looking at Nicola Abella. Seems to be brightening up now. Maybe that little flurry of rain, it only was a light flurry, has gone away, but we know a much bigger one is on its way in. Maybe it's just going to strike them when they're standing on the podium because they're heading down to start that penultimate lap. Very cautious braking there from David Pouget, just stayed far enough ahead of Nicola Milan. One further lap or one further finger, however you want to look at it. And off they go, 0.3 of a second, a third of a second almost precisely between the race leader, David Pouget. Nicola Milan got a little bit sideways on the entry to Grand Corps, tried to put more speed into the corner and nearly came a cropper in 2nd place, has tucked back in behind. And I think Joran Le Neutre behind him in 3rd place actually had to lift a bit because he was worried which way Nicola Milan was likely to snap. Milan cutting the corner on the inside. At one point around the Estoril, he's doing everything he can, and now he's got right into the slipstream. And 6.32 already done for exceeding track limits, and rather neatly rejoins. That's Rigolet. Wriggle here, wriggle there. Now the first 6 cars were separated into 2 batches of 3, and David Pouget says if you're coming round at the hairpin, you've got to come round the outside. Nicola Milan can't do that. Joran Le Neutre tucks in behind. Marc Guillot being attacked for 4th place by Alexandra Alboy, and Nicola Abella still just about there or thereabouts. All the windscreen wipers on as they come down the hill to Nürburgring at the last time at full racing speed. It's Pouget, Milan, Le Neutre, and he looks wetter there than before, or has someone just put a bit of a puff of tyre smoke up? I don't think you get much tyre smoke when, oh look, it's definitely wetter than before. You can see the race leader David Pouget just couldn't get the front end to turn in at all. Now, was that the wettest point of the lap, or is it going to be wet when they get to the Imola sweepers? That could spell trouble, it could spell a change, but it's Pouget, Milan and Le Neutre line astern. They're going to into the S's they go, the Imola S's. How hard you push already. We've seen Milan nearly fall off at the first corner, got a twitchy moment. Now he covers the inside line, he's protected his 2nd place, but just doesn't feel confident enough to attack David Pouget. Don't forget, last time around, Pouget really was light on the brakes and left his braking very late indeed and deep into the penultimate corner. And now it's the battle for 2nd place. Milan being covered. Has he got the corner covered? He's being attacked by Le Neutre down the inside. If Le Neutre can make the braking before he exceeds the corner, that's a fantastic move for 2nd place. Nearly fell off on the exit, but David Pouget said, thank you very much. You fight as much as you want. There's the checkered flag. And the order at the end, well done to Joran Le Neutre. Well done for David Pouget. In fact, all of the top 6, a brilliant run to the finish. And a fabulous race, just how Clio Cup racing should be. But for Joran Le Neutre to get with the established stars, to challenge them and overtake one of them, that was very impressive indeed, to take that 2nd place overall. And considering how the conditions were changing, the driving has been very impressive indeed. And the last, the middle order now going through those final couple of corners. Over the curbs, you get the car back onto terra firma. There's the checkered flag to greet them. It's been a really brilliant meeting here at Magny-Cours, but that was impressive for David Pouget to lose the lead, to fight his way back once, to be demoted, to fight his way back again, to resist the challenge from Nicola Milan, and then also right at the end to just keep his nose far enough in front to take outright victory in the 2nd race. So that's 2 races and 2 wins for David Pouget, Frenchman enjoying his visit to home ground. But look out in future for Joran Le Neutre. Started 3rd, dropped down to I think 7th in the order, worked his way back into 2nd place with that pass at the penultimate corner of the final lap. So the storm stayed away, but the little flurry of rain made it very interesting indeed. Oh, by the way, the winning margin was 0.611 of a second, and it probably was helped by that battle for 2nd place that was so tight at the finish. And there it is, there is that margin of victory. David Pouget beating Joran Le Neutre by 0.611 of a second. Super run. And Joran, by the way, you almost get lost in that, was running not in the top class, but in the challenger class. So that was a superb run for him. Niccolo Milan just edged out, but he showed great racecraft. Marc Guillot in fourth, another regular European front runner. Alexandre Albouy with them, and Nicolas Abella just about with them in spirit. But those top six were fantastic, and they had nearly a 10-second gap to the next batch of cars, led by another Spaniard, Alex Lahaut. But for French racers on home ground, Puget, Lenoitre, Milan, Guillot and Albouy, all French, all in the top 5 positions. But that was thoroughly entertaining. But you can be sure that all of that top 6 will feel as though they really had a workout there, because a lot of them, and we nearly saw Nicolas Milan coming a cropper at the start of the final lap, worked really struggling to find any grip, and did a fantastic job to keep it on the island. And in fact, had the storm come, it might really have been an island. So we dodged the huge amount of rain, but it was thoroughly good entertainment to bring 3 days of absolutely packed action at Magny-Cours to a close. And there we were, tricky conditions. We had 37 starters, we had 33 finishers. So that was impressive indeed. And so this region, the Auvergne or thereabouts in the middle of France, suddenly feeling a little bit quiet after a lot of racing. But let's look back at the highlights. It was Puget on the outside of the front row in pole who made a very decent start indeed. He was challenged into Grand Corps for the first time by Nicolas Milan in the green, white and red car. In fact, Milan got his nose in front, but the trouble is if you're in front on the left-hand side of the circuit, you're then on the wrong line for the next corner, which follows immediately, which is Estoril. It was dry at this stage. The drivers knew a storm was on the way, but then Milan got a really good tow up the hill, and that's as wide as you can go in a gravel trap. People watching the progress from the grandstands, always good to see these handheld devices for the bits they couldn't see. Then Jerzy Spinkovic from about 7th place went off on halfway around the opening lap. That led to the safety car. That brought the pack together, and then as soon as they were released, it was Nicolas Milan leading from Marc Guillot. Not everybody got it right, and that's the shortcut, not the approved route between Grand Corps and Estoril. But as the laps went up in number, the grip went down in quotient. And there was Marc Guillot getting it wrong at Chateau d'Eau and losing 2 positions. 3rd became 5th. Alexandre Albouy locking up in front of him, about to lose 5th place as Guillot fights back. Nicolas Abella watching from the back of the pack, and there were battles the whole way down the order. This one got a little bit too busy. Jeremy Bordeaux and René Steinmetz at the penultimate corner, and then at the top of the hill. It's always the top of the hill where the passing happens, at Magny-Cours. And this is still David Puget, the yellow and white car, number 15, fighting Nicolas Milan, and the new name in the block, Joran Lenoitre, tucked in behind him. But start of the final lap, a bit of a twitch there at Grand Corps. Scary moment for Nicolas Milan. 6.32 decided to bounce through the gravel. That was Rigolet. But it was Puget in front. He won on the Saturday. And there he is winning on Sunday with Joran Lenoitre moving to 2nd place, the penultimate corner. Great action from the Clio Cup. Thoroughly enjoyable. Look out for the next round. So plenty to talk about there, a lot of action, and they'll be going, what happened to the grip? And it certainly fell away from them. The storm may yet come in and clatter, but they've got through 2 great days of racing and a lot to be enjoyed for all of the drivers out there. Worked hard, kept it clean, and in fact I really do think that is a feature of Renault's Clio Cup. No wonder it's been running for so many years in its various forms, because on these large Grand Prix circuits it gives them so much space to hunt in packs and be 2 or 3 abreast. But for the very best drivers, you're dealing in tiny fractions of advantage. But the car that took the honours, the driver that took the honours, was David Puget. But with Nicolas Milan as well and Joran Lenoitre getting into that mix too, it was really thoroughly enjoyable action to entertain us all. So there's Joran Lenoitre going up for 2nd place. Top challenger, 3rd place, Nicolas Milan already on there. But David Puget, he worked hard, he lost ground, he had to fight his way back. And you all know you lose a bit of momentum and you probably lose many places, but he hunted it down and made it work. 2 wins for David Puget in 2 days. So David Puget wins for GPA Racing. Well, huge congratulations to David Pouget and Nicolas Milan for doing what they always do, and for the new face, Joran Lenoitra, joining the Titus. But that was a fantastic example of 3 championships coming together to provide great racing. Clio Cup France, Clio Cup Spain, Clio Cup Eastern Europe. But it was Nicolas Milan, Joran Lenoitra who provide the fireworks. For Nicolas Milan, that's it from now. Goodbye.